Second World War is a topic that everybody, well, there are so many, media references to this, etc. Every now and then there's some movies, series, documentaries, actually, which wasn't like that initially. That actually started in the 70s. The breakthrough was Chris Lanzmann and this world famous documentary Shoah by Chris Lanzmann, the French director. So all of a sudden, about 20, 25 years about after the war, people started to talk about it. Before that, nobody would talk about it. This was actually bad time. The lives go on. We focus on future actually. But
Okay.
then this is the moment of basic. A lot of people already passed away. The younger generation start to be curious. But this is very started in 70s, and then 20 years later, the Schindler's List was filmed over here. That was two things happening actually, three things. The Holocaust happened in Poland, the fall of communism, so they can make movie like this, and people did talk about Holocaust, and it was popular topic already. That's actually popularity there of Schindler's List, which is movie have been watched by more than 200 million people all around the world. The most popular movie ever be filmed
In Krakow.
in Poland.
In Poland in general. Oh, wow. Okay.
Three. Let's have a look and we take a picture of that, okay? And then another scene. This is the most famous scene over here. The old lady is standing here on this staircase that I am standing. She's standing here, right? You can see she's Jewish. She have a Jewish armband, the armor of the Star of David, right? Then the boy is here. And he's about to whistle. Why he's going to whistle? Well, basically because he is a member of Ordnungsdienst, the Jewish police in the ghetto. If you're gonna whistle, the Nazis will come and take her. But he didn't.
I watched the movie when I came here. I have to admit, I think, let me speak for myself. Coming from my part of the world, we didn't have much knowledge. We have a lot of things going on already. So we're focused with our baggage, and I didn't know much about what's happening here. And when I came here and I felt like I need to, one of the things that I did is I watched the movie, and I went to amazing movie, and I went to the factory, the museum. I went alone, and then I went with you in the tour. And I have to say, you have interesting thoughts or interesting comments about Schindler.
Well, you visit the Schindler's Factory, which is also an example of mass tourism because the popularity of that is actually incredible right now. And even though there's not really much about Oskar Schindler over there in the museum, but we noticed that you learn on my Jewish tour more about him that you would learn visiting museum for 2 hours. I mean, when I did a tour over there, I obviously covered this topic, but that's I can joke about it, say this is a perfect museum for the good tour guide. There's nothing about the topic of the museum at the exhibition. The exhibition is called the Museum in Schindler's Factory, and there are two lies in it already. It's not a factory. It's not about Oskar Schindler. So perfect for me, actually, right? But actually,
Not the factory.
no, it was an administration building because the question was very often on the in the exhibition, where is the construction building? Where they do their stuff?
Yeah.
And they never did it there. They did it behind, actually. The industrial buildings. This is another taboo topic. The industrial buildings, the factory buildings, were torn down, and the other part of it was turned to the contemporary art museum. But to be honest, simply somebody have too short and narrow-minded thinking, because there was a space to adapt to actually accept all of those visitors that today want to visit that. But they already turned this down and built a contemporary art museum. Now there is a problem because there's no space in this factory. In this only part, the administration building, which was turned to the historical museum. Basically, I mean, it is interesting museum, but actually, there's no point to, a lot of big companies, they actually put in there groups of 40 people. This is ridiculous. Actually, you have to use your elbows to go through often. I probably recommend to visit that only from middle of January till the end of February in the mornings. Actually, rather actually to visit that. Apart from that, it's actually really, those conditions to guide there or to walk even there, actually, with everybody pushing you, this is actually not nice. Actually, that's another thing, the result of the mass tourism. The travel companies that are selling tickets, they basically push you in the groups of 40 people. 40 people is actually the maximum which I can comfortably do in the open space. In the very narrow passages of Schindler's Factory, your tour guide is basically a few hundred meters ahead of you. And you have no idea what he's talking about. So there's no. But this is how mass tourism look like, basically, right? Usually, I have no idea what your book actually ahead.
Oh wow. You had an interesting you mentioned an interesting thing when we were
The tour.
yeah, in the tour. For many people who don't know uh, what happened in who is Schindler, can you give them a quick introduction?
Okay. How to make it as clear as possible.
As clear.
So you have this guy. I don't. Well, he was a citizen of Czechoslovakia, native German, a member of the party, Nazi party. So we have this guy who's coming over here when the Nazis came. So when the city is taken by the Nazis, he came over here and he became an owner of this factory. So he started to produce enamel tinware stuff. And yes, they employ Polish people, employ Jewish people as well. And then eventually, truly, he actually make the company being relocated. So instead of being closed, liquidated, and people being sent to the concentration camp, the people who supposed to work over there were actually resettled 300 kilometers away. It's not very clear actually how many of them exactly work over there. Many of them never actually work. They end up on the so-called Schindler's list. It wasn't really his list for different reasons, but this is true. Without him, those people will not be resettled, and many of them eventually been saved. We talk about the good Nazi. This is actually the concept in the movie. And the movie is about the good and the bad Nazi, the Schindler's List. The bad Nazi, Amon Goeth, the commander of the concentration camp, who actually was responsible himself for the death of like more than 200 people himself, right? So many of them he just shoot himself. And then this is the bad Nazi, and the other one is Oskar Schindler, so-called the good Nazi. So he saved 1200 Jewish people. That's true actually. Whatever we think about his motives, whatever we think about his life performance, he saved them.
He actually
He actually did say. But it's very interesting that those two biographies are very, very common, very similar. For example, when you read the biography of Oskar Schindler, it's like 700 pages book of Mr. David Crow. You read that Schindler in the high school, he was cheating a lot. He was, for example, faking the grade.
Yeah.
And they used to call him Schindler the Crook.
Uh-huh.
That was a nickname. This guy had a nickname in the high school, Schindler the Crook. And then you have the movie. You have the movie of Steven Spielberg about 100 years later, actually, after Schindler left high school, right? You have the movie, and Schindler talked with Amon Goeth. Amon Goeth is drunk. Schindler is just a little bit dizzy. And he says about him, "Oh my gosh, he's such a lovely crook."
Oh wow.
I don't know if that was, to be
It
honest,
was intentional.
because I doubt that basically Steven Spielberg or the script writer read the biography of Schindler, but basically, he called Amon the nickname that he was actually called,
In school.
that the historical character was called. So basically, they're very, very similar biographies. One of them was end up like a criminal being sentenced to death and hung. You can Google his name, Amon Goeth, on YouTube. You find actually movie for his execution locally here in Krakow. The other is a world hero because of Hollywood movie. Also, you have to remember that there another. I mean, he's not the only one. This is actually, I even at some point wanted to buy because this whole compound, the neighborhood, was used by him as well. There was a villa that he used to live, and the villa was for sale. At some point, I had some idea to buy it and do the real Schindler's Museum, actually, about Schindler, not about German occupation in Krakow. And my concept will be actually that also it will be an excuse to talk about all those different Schindlers. Actually, we talk about different guys who actually saved a lot of people. Like there was this Swedish diplomat, Ralph Wallenberg. He saved like a few hundred at least. There was a Rashto Kastner, the Hungarian guy who bought like train of the Jews from the Nazis, like about a few hundred. There was also a Japanese diplomat as well. And there were two Polish people actually. There was actually Irena Sendlerova. She saved 2,000 Jewish kids.
2000.
So twice more than Schindler. And there was a Polish guy who actually, through the refugee camps in Hungary, he saved 5,000 people. That was actually Henryk Sławik. 5,000 people, and the Nazis murdered him for this.
Oh.
Why nobody have heard about him? Because there was no Spielberg who make a movie about him. That's the thing.
I will need to digest that. I have never heard of this, and but yeah, some people, I don't know if it's luck or they become the trend. He became the trend of that time.
Who?
Schindler
Okay.
for him to.
I mean, I don't complain that the movie was made. I don't complain that the story is popular. Actually, basically, for me, this is an excuse to tell you're interested in this. Okay, so I can tell you you're already interested in A, so I can tell you B, C, D. Actually, right? I can base on that.
Opens the door.
You know, when I started guiding tours 17 years ago, an average tourist actually were asking, "Is this enough in Krakow to see during one day?" Actually, right? If they thought that maybe it's only half a day place, and then you should go to Prague or Budapest or Berlin. Now, actually, usual an average stay is between 4 and 5 days.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like there's much more to see actually, but there are much more services in English as well. And this is true that some well done third generation museums were actually open. Well, the most popular for the foreigners will be the Schindler's factory, so-called Schindler's so-called factory. But the Main Square Underground Museum below the surface of the main square is also very beautiful, very fascinatingly done. And finally, the Czartoryski Museum with Da Vinci painting is renovated actually, so that's also very well done as well. Actually, well,